Welcome back. I'm the Tilted Crown Gourmet. It's Halloween time again, and I'm going to be presenting to you Witch's Hair. It's a squid ink pasta. So if you're ready, let's get some prep done and let's get cooking. We're going to get started with our Witch's Hair pasta, which is our squid ink pasta. Of course, this dish can be made any time of year. I'm going to be dropping this in October, therefore we're going to be calling it Witch's Hair pasta. There will be a link in the description to my pasta making tutorial, so don't forget to give that a look. To start with making our pasta, I'm turning on my scale. So the general rule of thumb is you want 100 grams of flour and 1 egg per person. I like some leftovers. I'm only cooking for 3 tonight, but I'm gonna put in 400 grams of flour. I'm gonna split that up with about 350 grams of 00 flour and about 50 grams of semolina flour. As we continue, we're gonna go ahead and get our eggs ready. So we're gonna crack our eggs into our bowl. Next, we're gonna get our squid ink. Mine comes in these little packages, and these packages are all individual. However, you can get it in a jar as well. So I'm just gonna cut off the top and squeeze. I use 2 packets, then give everything a whisk. Be careful, this stuff stains. Now in your flour, make a well, and I like just to give it a little bit of a stir to create a little bit of a paste. Go ahead and knock that off of our whisk. So attach your dough hook to your stand mixer, put it down, lock it in, put it on 1, and do it for about 8 minutes, and then at about the 8-minute mark we're going to raise it to 2 and do it for 2 minutes. Now that our 10 minutes has elapsed, I'm going to check it to see if it's, yeah, this is good, because it's not sticky. We don't want sticky. And when I push my finger in it, it starts to pop back out, which is what I want. I'm gonna go ahead and set that here. We're gonna move our mixer out of the way, and we are going to get a little cling film because we want this to rest, and it's gonna rest for about 30 minutes, but you can allow it to rest for up to 1 hour. Pasta is resting. I'm gonna go ahead and get some additional prep done. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to get I'm doing clams in this particular dish, and I like to put them in ice water because it helps them to expel any sand that might be in them. I had already checked these when I bought them to make sure that they all were closed. All the ones that weren't closed, I refused. So when you're at your market and you're picking up clams or mussels or what have you, make sure that they're all closed. Otherwise, don't buy them because you're just gonna be paying for something that you're gonna end up throwing out later. I have some Thai chilies, and I want to slice them up to be able to put into my pasta. I'm not taking any of the seeds out And you could also use crushed red pepper instead of fresh chilies. It's all up to you. I had these in my refrigerator. I tend to keep them because I do a lot of Thai cuisines. And remember, you can omit these, cut down the number, switch to crushed red pepper, or if you really don't like heat, just standard freshly ground black pepper would work. And I'm gonna dice up a shallot. Now you can use an onion if you so choose. I had some shallots in there and I wanted to go ahead and use these. I think they have a really lovely flavor, especially for a pasta dish. Next we're gonna dice up our garlic. And you could decide that you maybe don't want to dice it or don't want to have it as a fine dice, which is fine. I kind of like mine a little bit chunky, but you could also choose that maybe you want to just make them into medallions, which is perfectly fine too. Chop up our parsley. For your tomatoes, you can decide to just cut them in half. I like mine in quarters, but you don't need to make them in quarters if you don't want them in quarters. Just make sure that your tomatoes are ripe. Our 30 minutes has passed, so we want to unwrap our dough and we want to cut it into fourths. Make sure you wrap the dough that we're not working with. Go ahead and wrap that back up. I like to make sure you flour your dough really well because you don't want it to stick in your pasta roller. Now at this point I'm going to cut this in half simply so it doesn't get too long. For this particular pasta I go to level 6, which is 2 notches from the thinnest that it can roll. Set these on the side and repeat. Now that we're done, we're going to switch our attachment to our spaghetti attachment. Put this onto a floured sheet. I put mine in kind of like a little bit of a knot because we don't want that to get, and make sure that you got a lot of flour because you don't want things to stick together. Now while we get everything else prepped, we want to cover this with cling film and set it aside. As we continue our pasta, we're gonna put our heat on medium to medium high. Add in some olive oil. And purely optional, but I love butter in my pasta sauces, so put in some butter. While you're preparing your sauce, also get your pasta water boiling, and once it's boiling, add some salt. Now that our oil and butter are shimmering, I'm gonna add in our shallots. We want to allow these to soften, which would take maybe about 5 minutes. Be careful with this step because you don't want them to brown, you just want them to soften. Once they're softened, go ahead and add in your Thai chilies if you decide to use them, or you would add in your red chili flakes or your black pepper if you don't really like spice. We're gonna follow that with our capers and our garlic. Once we add our garlic, we don't want to cook this for more than 1 minute without adding in our tomatoes, which will come next, and our white wine. Add in our tomatoes, and we want to deglaze with some white wine. And I use some canned clams. I'm going to go ahead and add that juice in too. Now we're going to allow that to cook for a few minutes. That's been cooking for about 5 minutes. Now I'm going to nestle in our shrimp. These are 21 to 25 count per pound. Put in our clams, or clam meat, I should say. Next, we'll put in our clams. And these are little neck clams. Put in a little parsley. Give everything a stir and cover this up. The reason we're covering this right now is we want those clams to steam and we want them to open up. While we're waiting for those clams to open, we want to go ahead and taste our sauce to see if we need anything. In particular, salt, because I think we should have a nice spice. That's fantastic. But just a little bit of salt. And that's kosher salt that's gone in. Now to our pasta, we want to go ahead and put our pasta into our boiling water. Only needs to boil for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then it's going to be done. Now that the pasta is done, we are going to transfer it to our sauce. And if you notice, I'm not draining it. I want some of that pasta water in our sauce. It helps to make the sauce more silky. And there you have it. A spooky, savory, and absolutely enchanting squid ink witch's hair pasta with shrimp and clams. It's perfect for adding a touch of magic to your Halloween dinner. This dish is not only a feast for the eyes, but also a flavor-packed experience that will leave your guests spellbound. That is so good. That is so good. Just the right amount of heat. If you love this bewitching recipe, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more creative and delicious dishes. And don't forget, if you have any magical meal ideas or want to see more Halloween-inspired recipes, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, your kitchen is your passport to the world, allowing you to explore diverse cultures and cuisines right from home as you explore new flavors and techniques. And as always, bon appetit.